All right, today we're starting the biology of exercise. Don't be afraid. Yes, this is more science-based. It's a little bit more, um, we use a little bit more of these words that are a little bit more difficult for people. But what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and make sure that everybody understands all of the words that are potentially complex. And really, I'm going to try and walk you through the biology in as basic a way as I can do it. All right? So just be patient with me. Feel free to ask questions. We're going to go through this. So in this first series of videos, what my objective is that by the end of these videos, you should be able to name the 3 types of muscle that we have in our body. You should be able to contrast how we control, how these tissues look, what's different about these 3 different types of muscle. So you should be able to kind of come up with a grid that says this one is controlled in this way, this one looks this way, this one, all of that. Okay, you should be able to describe the formation of a skeletal muscle. How do we make a skeletal muscle fiber? Because it's not the same way that we make a liver cell or another cell, because these skeletal muscle fibers or skeletal muscle cells are actually cells that have had other cells come in and they've fused together. They've come together to form one big cell. So that, it's very similar to any other type of organization where a single individual is not doing very much. But when you come together with a bunch of other individuals, now you can have a real effect. Same thing happens with skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle takes one single cell that can't do much on its own, and they start to come together and they start to combine with each other to make this really big, long, thick fiber or cell that can now produce all of the force that's going to allow us to move. You should be able to draw the functional unit of a striated muscle, and it's going to be called this thing called the sarcomere. Sarco is actually Greek meaning meat. So what we're trying to say is that this is the muscle component, and it's the smallest part of the muscle component. You're going to be able to name the components of one aspect of the muscle, which is the thin filament, and you'll be able to describe to me how the thin filament changes when it comes in contact with calcium, because calcium is going to be the thing that's released by the nervous system, and it's going to be the thing that allows muscle contraction to occur. All right, so you're going to understand how our brains control our muscles' ability to move. That's pretty cool. And then you should be able to explain what's called the sliding filament theory. And this is a theory that's even older than me. And basically it explains how a muscle contracts and how it relaxes. And it really just goes through a cycle that we call the power stroke. And the power stroke is where one protein is going to reach out and grab another protein and pull it. And then it's going to use energy to allow itself to reach out and grab again. And so it's going to be like you used to do as a kid, where you would go onto the monkey bars. And if you were at one end of the monkey bars, as you would go through and you would stroke through, you're getting closer to the other end of the monkey bars. And if you were to be attached to the monkey bar behind you or to the starting point, you would have shortened the monkey bar as you went that way. And that's all that happens when we do this power stroke that allows our muscle to contract. And then you're going to be able to tell me how we stop a muscle contraction. Because the one thing that we're going to always talk about when we talk about muscle is contraction, shortening. Even when a muscle we're working really hard and it's lengthening, it's going longer, the muscle's getting longer. Muscles don't push, they only pull. So a muscle can only pull. So I can contract my muscle, and then to straighten, I need to relax that same muscle. So if I'm going to do a bicep curl, I need to use my brain to contract my muscle. If I want to relax my arm, I just need to be able to relax that muscle, or to use a different muscle to pull it into the straightened position. So all of these things we're going to start talking through them. We're going to start working through the basic biology of how our muscles work.